and welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for another episode of Vikings, Season 1, Episode 3, Dispossessed. Written by Michael Hurst, of course. Directed by Johan Renck once again. I gave this episode a 9.8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We got to spend time with the family. We got to see Ragnar playing his cards right. You got to see what happens when a priest and a Viking warrior start drinking together.
But I will go down with this shit, and I won't put my hands up and surrender.
And we officially got our first battle on English soil. So let's go ahead. Before we jump into the recap, wherever you're listening to this podcast, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon, go down to the rating section, drop some stars, leave a review. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to send feedback for Vikings or any other show that I do, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. So we begin with our heroes, even though we know they didn't do necessarily heroic things. They feel triumphant coming back to Kattegat. The mercurial mooded Rollo in this moment is like, yeah, you're right, brother, we did do this, we're so close. See how long that actually lasts. Ragnar then approaches Athelstan, and he's reading the Bible that he was allowed to keep, and he wonders about his God. What did he ask him? I can't even remember. Damn it. He said to something like, oh, that's when Athelstan told him about the prophecy. Like, where did we just at? What's the name of that place? Oh, it's, what did I say it was? Lindisfarne. And he's like, is that in England? Yeah. And Ragnar was so happy.
We did it! We did it! We did it! Yeah!
Before he introduces himself and asks Athelstan his name, Athelstan's like, look, we're all here because of a prophecy of doom, and we're condemned, and this is the price that we have to pay, or something to that effect. And he's like, no, you're here because I spared your life. And Athelstan doesn't even decide in that moment to dispute that. He's just more like, so why did you save my life? And he's honest, like, I don't know yet. Athelstan has to then watch how the Vikings handle death very, very casually. One of the brothers dies leaning on Athelstan, and he calls Ragnar like he's dead, and he's like, yeah, you're right, he is. Let's toss him overboard. And he's horrified, and he does say, because he is standing next to Athelstan when he hears him, rest in peace. And the thing about Ragnar that separates him from the rest of his group, which is something you also, I know I don't want to keep referencing Vikings Valhalla, but this is just all of the good, juicy meat that comes before that show. So you can see more of the reversal of how Christians are perceived or thought of, and how much they're, it's an odd concept for them. They are pagan, and even with Christianity, Protestantism, all of that shit is basically blending paganism with Christian ideas. Like, most of the fucking holidays are pagan holidays. That's how we got everybody on board. So one technically didn't win over the other. They just learned to merge. But the gods, to them, they're living, breathing things. And you hear that in the conversation a little bit later, which I loved with Ragnar and Athelstan when they were drinking. But before we do get to that awesome scene, They are in Kattegat being welcomed home to a lot of cheers and applause and wives. You can see that Floki also is a little ADHD. He's hyperactive. He's a little different.
Jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump up and get down.
Canute approaches him and says, well, the Earl would like to see you. And that's something that they are all concerned about. Turns out the Earl was basically playing it safe. I'm condemning his actions until he comes back with a whole bunch of treasure. And then I'm gonna gank him for his shit.
Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger don't give a shit. It just takes what it wants.
I could tell that was his wife's plan, because she was overjoyed and she seems like the stealthy type. Because she says a lot can be maintained by watching and waiting. So she props him up and makes him believe he's the most powerful one, but I have a feeling that she influenced that decision more so by allowing, or possibly getting up in his ear about allowing him to either just die in obscurity or to live in prosperity, but it's still like he found a way to make it insignificant, even though everyone else ain't fooled, even if he thinks he's fooled at this moment, because he thinks he's still got power, which he tries to flex a little later when he sends his little bitch. Oh, what's that guy's name? Ulf. Every time I forget, because I hate him so much. But Stumpy Ulf is sent to try to do his bidding. Doesn't go his way, but he is definitely keeping his eye on what to do about Ragnar. But he knows he really can't, like he was looking, as Ragnar said, for a reason to kill them. And because they said it was like stealing from babies, they're like, well, you didn't really win this. You stole it from someone who couldn't protect it. And thus, it is no glorious raid. It is truly something that is to be besmirched, because, again, that Viking culture is all about conquest and dying in battle. Like, the fact that there was no battle makes it even more of a case for the Earl. However, he tries to give him a token by saying, hey, how about this? It was illegal. You shouldn't have done it. I take all of your shit. You're allowed to keep one thing from the raid. And out of all the things, all the treasures, even the little bit of joking from Ragnar, because of course he feels humiliated at this moment. He's angry at this moment, but he also knows that this is a political game now. And I have to play the right way. So I'm going to make light of it. I'm going to act like it doesn't bother me. And he decides to choose Athelstan instead, with everyone thinking that's a stupid choice because he would choose a slave. But I think he chose him for two reasons. But the number one being, he's more valuable. A person is more valuable than treasure for what he himself is seeking. Something he's trying to explain to his thick-headed brother, who afterwards tells Ragnar, I can't believe that we did all that for nothing. I shouldn't have believed in you.
Oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Ragnar tells him, look, this is just the beginning. It's not the end. Stop being so overly dramatic. Then he reveals that he actually stole more than one item from the king. Now this pisses Ragnar off, and he reacts violently, throwing him into the wall, into a chokehold. Like, do you think that the king is not going to notice that you stole from him? He's like, why can't, I feel like every time he's just like, why can't you see it? Why cannot you be smarter? Because it's so apparent that all you're about to do is go out and spend on the things in which you enjoy, which is whores and fucking alcohol. So attract his attention. Bring shame upon us and yourself, you dumbass. He's looking for a reason to kill him, and you're just going to give him one. Like an idiot. So then he takes Athelstan home, where he presents him to his children. First, Gita. And, man, that boy, he does not look great. Young Bien. He greets his wife with a kiss. And he's like, look, this is a priest from England. She's like, where's your treasure at? Well, the king stole it. She's like, it's okay. I believe you that it filled up the boat. And he's like, you could touch him. Who says that to another person? Gita was so sweet. She said, what's your favorite god? And he was so appalled.
There can be only one!
Why's your hair like that? Who gave you them robes? Why do you wear that? This is part of... And he's just so casually answering their questions as Lagatha goes up to Ragnar like, I miss the smell of your body. And the next thing you see is them fucking... While Athelstan is trying to read his Bible so bad, he's like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? What is happening? But no, the night is not over, because Lagatha and Ragnar peep behind his little private corner with a question. Join us, priest.
He's pulling his cock out!
He's like, oh, come on, you like it. I took vows. And I love how they answer, because that's how they do. Like, we have gods too. Like Loki. They're trying to find familiarity between them. They're trying to bridge some intimacy. And this is their way of doing this. And... he's just over there cowering because he looked like he was half tempted. Like, I cannot do this. It's not permitted. And I've taken a vow of chastity. And Ragnar sits on the bed next to him like, so this vow. Now this was the ripped Ragnar that I'm aware of, and no, Travis Fimmel. Because it was not the same in Raised by Wolves. But he tells me, he's like, don't you want to try it? Like, what if no one's looking? Ain't nobody gonna tell on you? He's like, I can't. So he starts praying. He's like, well, fine. You go with your god. And then they go back to fucking. Then the next day, we can see some time has passed, and he goes out by the river, and he realizes that hair has grown where his baldness used to be because time has passed, and his desire to retain who he is shown as he takes a dull blade while Ragnar's outside cleaning the fish to try to cut his hair, but he's busted by Gita, who looks kind of like, oh my god, concerned. Bjorn, who's laughing like, you fucking idiot, what are you doing? And then you have Lagatha, who is understanding in a way, confused but understanding. Like, there's a little bit of pity that she has for him. Then we see him and Ragnar drinking, because he says everyone is well fed and well laced with alcohol in this house. And that's when he explains about his religion. There's only one God. He asks the questions like, why your God must be greedy if he has all those places in a church, a place of worship. He's like, why doesn't your king? He learns of King Ayla. He finds out there's 4 kingdoms in England. But Northumbria is where King Ayla is. And going back to the riches question, he's like, why wouldn't you protect your monastery? Monasteries don't need to be protected until you. However, you need to know that God is not greedy, but people need to give up all of their wealth and possessions to the church to save their souls. He's like, what the fuck is a soul? He talks about the place that they're going to go to, and he's very skeptical about all this. But he says, I want to learn more, and I want to learn some of your language. Will you teach me? As he keeps his cup full, plenty and running over. We then see him head into town, and he requests an audience this time, doing everything by the book, with the Earl Harrelson, who we saw briefly with his wife enjoying another person's success. And he is very turned on, or wants to be turned on, by the moment of his great success by copulating with said wife, but he is a limp noodle. It does not work anymore. Not at all. There also was a previous scene I did not speak of. When Ulf came to the farm looking for Ragnar, he approaches Bjorn and he says, look, I saw you get your armband. I need to know where your father is. Lagatha was on that like white on rice. She's like, Bjorn, who you talking to? Who the fuck is that?
Hello?
She picked up a knife or that axe and just walked over ever so slowly and grabbed her son like he's out fishing. Really? He's out fishing? Yeah, he's fishing. I don't know when he's going to be back home. Well, I need someone to come with me as a shadow or whatever the case may be. And he looked at Bjorn, then he looked at that axe.
Oh, don't do it. Yeah. Oh my God.
And unfortunately, they choose another fisherman's child, who unfortunately will never see her child again. Later on, we see that the Earl is burying all of the treasure, and he's having the boy help. And you might be very perplexed to see Ulf choke this boy to death and throw him in the grave. This, unfortunately, is Viking true to lore as well. They believe very, very strongly in that you be reincarnated in the afterlife and that you will be reunited. So he killed this boy to protect his hoard of treasure in the afterlife, so that because they truly believe that this gold is going to be with them when they get to Valhalla. So these abstract ideas and the commitment to said atrocities against human beings in the name of religion is not even just a Christian thing, it's a pagan thing. It's go back to the Aztecs, you know, they only warred with each other so that the person who won could make sacrifices with the prisoners of war. That was the whole point of warring. Not because I got real beef with you. It's because we need 50, and the best way to figure that out is to just go to war with each other and get all the ones that we need. So we can continue, and if we're triumphant, we continue to be successful. It's a commonplace in society. So it's on one hand, it's very appalling. On the other hand, it seems to be the cult of idea around these particular times in society, or I guess it still is society. They have constructs. Moving on from my rabbit hole, Now we're back to the scene. Finally, we're caught up to the scene where he goes and has the audience with him, and he tells them, look, I think we should go back to England and get more shit. I've been talking to my slave, and because he's like, how's your slave working out for you? Oh, he's more valuable than I thought. He told me all about this kingdom of Northumbria, about how they have all these additional riches. I got some maps, I got some plans. Let me do another raid. Please let me do another raid. You know, bitch, everybody wants us to do another raid, and you sitting out here counting the gold from the last raid. I know your greedy ass want another raid, so can we go do another raid? And Athelstan is very upset to hear that, especially as he had to see his brothers being strung up, because even as slaves, they're not valuable in Kattegat. Their value, their god, their belief in their god is in their eyes hereditary. That's the word I'm looking for. Heresy. There we go. And they react to that. You know, don't you dare come threatening my gods. And they killed him, which is very upsetting. The Earl's like, fine, I will go ahead and sanction this particular raid, but you will be taking my brother Canute. And did anyone else be like, when the fuck did y'all put out there that man was his brother? At what point did we reconcile that these people were related? I don't believe you. I think he just made that shit up. To this day. To this day. If you've never seen that, oh my gosh, that is hilarious. To this day. So on the way out, in front of everyone, Athelstan is just like, kill me. Well, I think it wasn't even kill me, right? You've used me. You know, I know that you're a good person, but you've used me. You spared my life. I appreciate that, but you spared my life with a purpose. And not only that, if I am just to be killed, then just kill me now with my people. And they had mentioned that he was a slave, and I think that was his moment of, am I a slave or am I not a slave? Because if I'm a slave, then, and this is what my fate awaits me, you might as well kill me now. And he doesn't expect for Ragnar to come up to him after he's used him, right? Because he feels like, oh, you got what you needed out of me as well. He goes up to him, takes a knife, and he cuts him free, because he's had a noose around his neck the entire time, but that's how, you know, someone knows that belongs to you. And he's like, run away if you want. And he takes his satchel and he starts walking, but it is a new step for them, because he's saying, you have your freedom. I'm not going to keep you, but look around you. Look where your options are. Are you safer with me, or are you safer on your own? Because I think you're safer with me. And he quickly was like, yeah, I am safer with you. And not only that, he is not judged in his home, right? Ragnar has a tolerance and acceptance of Christianity, even though he doesn't himself believe in it and makes the comments that he does. You know, he has a respect. That's the thing. You don't have to believe what someone else is believing, but you do have to, you know, you can respect them and allow them to go on unless it's harmful. And it hasn't been for him, or he doesn't see it as such. He then goes back home. He smiles too. I love that smile when he heard him coming behind him, because then he's choosing to be with him, right? And thus, when he gets home, he tells his wife, Lagertha, with the kids at the table, and Athelstan as well, eating at dinner, that he is going to do another raid, going to England as soon as possible. And she said, and she asked when, and he's like, tomorrow. And you can see that look in her eyes. This is how you know she's a good one. She's a ride or die. You see that look in her eyes, like when she had that small sign, like, I'm so disappointed, and you just got home. But instead, she puts that down, and she says, I will wish you a great journey. We will make sacrifices to Odin. And he had his back turned the whole time, and he's like, are you not coming with me?
And I was like, oh. Fuck yeah, bud.
That was so cute. And then she's like, what? He's like, I want you to come with me. What about the children? Yeah, well, Bjorn is still too young, but he can help out on the farm. And we'll leave the priest in charge. Athelstan stood up and said, Ragnar Lothbrok, do not do this. He's like, please. And Bjorn is like, Father, you cannot place a slave above me. He gave him one look at the eyes.
I'll put a whooping on their ass so fast, boy.
They leave it up to Gita, and she's like, I like the priest. And so it is settled. And then I love that fierce, protective mama bear of Lagertha. She turned around and said, Athelstan, if any harm comes to my children, I will cut the lungs from your body. It's like, oh god damn it, I got a fucking moody, sulky teen, and the other girl, she likes me just fine, but damn it, and damn it. Just when you think we're about to watch another long sea voyage, we're in England. We are on the sands, on the beach. But this time, when we get out of our longboats, because there's more than one now, and there's a lot more men going. Well, first there was the whole Canute gets choked out until he's almost, well, actually unconscious, then brought back by Rollo. In a nice power move by Ragnar, who just sits there and has his brother handle business. Rollo decides he's back on the non-shit list. I tell you, it's like you're gonna get whiplash fucking dealing with Rollo's mood swings. But that was a nice show of solidarity between them, the way he just sat there, wouldn't let him get on the boat, just had his back to him the whole time like he wasn't aware of the situation. But Rollo and everybody else is fully aware of the situation, like we can fuck you up. So no, if you are up to some shit, don't matter if you're the king's brother or not, it's every man for themselves out there, and we watch each other's back. So if you ain't about that life, you need to let us, no, you will die. So yeah, they get to the English soil, they get off, and Ragnar clearly has different ideas than the rest of the people in which he has rolled with. He has learned to speak a little bit of the languages and is able to understand the local sheriff when they approach them, because this time they are met with a handful of armsmen on horseback. They get off on horseback. They asked if they're traders. Ragnar's like, yeah, we're traders. Sure. He's trying to play the more insidious role. He wants to know more about his enemy. He wants to know more about... He knows he's on King Ayla's land because it's mentioned, which gives him a good idea of where he's at. However, Rollo... Who is Rollo? Well, it's not only just Rollo. You can't just blame Rollo. But Rollo is like, I don't trust them. I don't know if he can... And that's a valid point. You know, we got here. We came here to do something. These men, they're armed and they're dangerous, and they could potentially be a threat to us. Why would we just willy-nilly go off in their direction, even if we are trying to get more of what we're after? You know, that we need to get rid of this obstacle. It's not well to go with. I can understand the argument anyway. Then he's backed up by Eric, so it's not as if it is just one person stating so. Ragnar tries to defuse the situation by, because of course they don't speak the same language, so you have a language barrier with only Ragnar not quite sure how to handle the situation, and he's trying to calm his own people, but he's also, and I think that's his biggest concern, is that he doesn't have the truly, despite being hailed a hero, the dominance here to dictate how this is gonna go. If they're all equals, that means they all have a say on how things go down. So it's a democracy, not a dictatorship, though. So despite what Ragnar would love to probably open some diplomatic relation, even if it's just to obtain more information to raid. He would be more comfortable going that route. He would like to explore that route, but unfortunately, the tensions are just too high, too distrustful on both sides. Then you have the idea of the one guy giving Rolo, like, hey, this is a show of good faith. I'm going to give you this huge chunk of gold. And Floki comes out of the background and is like, well, bitch, I want that cross too. It snatches it off of him, which of course causes a reaction. The chain reaction is a battle that is ended very quickly, but one person does end up getting away on horseback. I love seeing Ragnar chase after that one dude, how he got him down, because they needed to capture someone, because they need information. But it is unfortunate that it ends in a massacre with what could have been the first diplomatic encounter with at this time, are they the Normans? No, are they Anglo-Saxons? I think, no, they're Anglo-Saxons. They are Anglo-Saxons, why I'm asking that. Yeah, and that concludes our episode. So what to come next, we shall see. Lastly, a shout out to the cinematography, particularly in the beginning of this episode. It's very beautiful. I'm not sure where they were filming, but it was gorgeous. We do have feedback, so let's hop on into the mailbag.
Mail, motherfucker!
What up, Stina? It's Mimi. This is feedback for Vikings episode 3 of season 1. Sorry it took me so long. I got sidetracked watching the show. I was binging. I know you don't watch it, but when I realized that Legacies was gonna be over and there was not gonna be a season 5, I stopped watching. But then all of a sudden it got really good, and then I wanted to see how it ended. I don't think I've ever shipped anyone in this show. Actually, I think I did, but it's been a while, and that ship never happened. So I still watch it because I know how you feel about the Vampire Diaries, and I was already knee deep in my field with the show when I realized how terrible Julie Plec was. I didn't follow any fandoms after what happened with the one fandom I did follow, Glee. So I honestly didn't know how she was in Vampire Diaries, especially with Kat Graham, but I do know now that I'll never be interested in any show she does. Hopefully, with the new owners of the CW, hopefully nobody like her and nobody wants to buy any of her shows, but we will see. So I was supposed to watch this a couple days ago and I got sidetracked. But I did just watch it. First, I want to say that I'm very disappointed in King Canute because, not King Canute, he's not a king, regular Canute, because, we know King Canute from Valhalla, and he just, in the Canute in this, seems like a snitch. I know it's like several generations afterwards, what we were watching in Valhalla, but so far I'm very unimpressed. I don't know how big of a character Canute's gonna be, but I don't like him. He seems like a raggedy snitch, and snitches get stitches. I don't know what's like. The last scene is what I remember the most because I just watched it. And how does Ragnar know how to speak other languages? Did I miss that? Like, does he study other languages? How is he able to communicate with the British people when they got on that land, and he was like translating for the Vikings? How does he know those languages? I don't know if I missed that. The other thing I want to talk about has nothing to do with Vikings, but the actor that plays Ragnar, his eyes are so damn blue, and I don't know if it's the show making them so damn blue, but they are very, very distracting. When he was Marcus in whatever show, Raised by Wolves, I remember his eyes being very blue, but I don't remember them like popping off like that. Like, I can't even focus on anything else because all I see is his damn blue ass eyes. They are like really, really blue. Like I said, it makes it hard to pay attention. And then, so I need you to explain to me one more time what like, he's not a king. I think he's an earl. Like, so how did he get his position? What he controls, what everyone does. Is he treated like a king? Was he appointed? Did he like fight his way to there? Was it birth given? I just want to know, because like, is it something that Canute can? Why do I keep saying Canute? God damn it! Is it something that Ragnar can like take away? Like, can he become the Earl? Is he allowed to like fight for the throne? Is that something that can happen? Because it seems as though I mean, I get it. Like, when you're the authoritative figure of a entire race of people, they look to you for leadership, and your word should be enough for them not to do it. So I understand what, like, him saying, we're not doing this, don't do it, and then someone disobeys his order. I understand, like, you need to punish them because you can't just have people not doing what you say. But to me, it just seems like there's some underhanded reason why he doesn't want Ragnar to go, like, towards different land. Like, it didn't seem like he was doing it based off safety. It was just like, do as I say because I said so. Like, I just feel like I know we got that flashback of his kids being killed. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe he has some like irrational fear of the unknown. Well, I guess being feared of the unknown isn't irrational, but maybe he has a reason to be weary of it. And you don't want to just be broadcasting your fears because you're the leader. You don't want these people not listening to you. So I get that. So I'm just trying to comprehend like why he's so opposed to them doing it. I understand him doing the punishment. It didn't even look like he wanted the gold and the stuff because he buried it. And what was up with them killing that poor little kid? Like, damn it, he didn't do nothing. And I feel like it was very underhanded because the Earl knew that if he took one of Ragnar's kids, first of all, his wife would fuck a bitch up because she is a boss bitch, and she is, I'm assuming her legacy and her background is known, but it was very underhanded of them to take that little boy and then just kill him and throw his body in there and bury it like he's not shit. Like, so now his mom is never gonna know what happened to him, and that's fucking terrible. I hope that shit does come to light. And I also hope, for the sake of my own karma coming around and kicking bitches in the throat, I would like the bald fat guy who I'm assuming is the Earl's right hand man. I would like him to die, and it would be great. I want to call her Gita, but I'm not sure what Ragnar's wife's name is. I don't know. Maybe after episode 4 I'll remember people's names, but I want her to kill him. I don't know why I want that, but that's what I want. So I'm just gonna hold on to that. I'm still trying to get a feel of this. I still, like, I'm having a hard time understanding what Ragnar's mind is doing. It seems like he's smart, and he is logistical isn't the right word, because that's not a word. He reminds me of those people who play chess and are like 3-4 moves ahead. They're so far ahead that you think that they're fucking pulling shit out of their ass, but they're actually very smart, and they can see moves that you can't, and they can see things that you have, like, you don't know, but they're about to fuck you over, and it's going to be bad, and it's going to be hard, and you're not going to enjoy it. So I'm thinking that's what's happening. So we will see, but I do want to just get this sent to you, so I'm going to go ahead and just send it now. I know there's some shit I forgot, but I didn't write notes. I was just trying to watch it and get it over with. I had a dentist appointment today, and my fucking mouth was hurting so bad. They had to repair it was a lot. It's hard to explain, but I had a tooth that needed to be repaired because there was like a gap, too big of a gap in between it and the next tooth, and my mouth was numb. I couldn't eat and I couldn't talk, so I couldn't send my feedback. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. Until next time, love, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic. Queen of the couch, Mimi out.
That was Queen Mimi with her feedback for the episode. Clearly looking so deeply into Travis Fimmel's eyeballs that she missed a whole shit ton of an arc. Yes. Athelstan, when he was talking to him, he asked him, "Can you teach me your language?" And then some time clearly passed because his bald spot was all the way almost covered in. So no, he got taught. He just didn't know it. He learned. It's called Old Norse, I believe, or no, it's not Old Norse. It's not coming to me right now. But it's only 2 languages because technically, although we are hearing them speak in English, they are speaking a different language as well. And occasionally, just to give the audience a little bit of perspective, they'll show them actually talking in their tongue, and then the English are talking in their tongues, and neither understand them, which is what makes the whole fight tragic in itself. Just imagine hearing that shit. You're like, what the fuck is he saying? I don't know. What the fuck is he saying? And only one person in the middle can understand both sides. So the earls are vassals to a king. This is a good question to ask. Very good question to ask. But as in all earldoms, they are vassals to kings. So that you know that there is an earl, there means there's a hierarchy, which means mildly interesting is all I have to say going forward. Mildly interesting. And as far as why does he feel, I mean, like any political rival, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Reputation is everything with Vikings. And you have this guy, clearly he got enough people on his side that are unhappy with how they've been compensated in raids or how raids have been going. They want to change the way things are, right? You know, you have the spinning wheel. It's always the same shit. You got the person that's been there for a long time, been in his position of power for a long time. No one really dislikes him, but you know, he's a little greedy. He's a little, you know, he may not be completely above board as it was alluded to in episode 1, but for the most part, you know, he hasn't, you know, he's just been the guy that's been pushing the same agenda over and over again. Now you got this, it's like Bush, and then all of a sudden Obama comes out and he's smiling and he's got that charm and he's got that class, and everybody's like, oh man, what's up with this guy? He's got plans, he's got things, he's breaking that wheel, he's gonna make some changes. So of course that's not gonna make the other guy that's already in charge feel great. He's gonna feel threatened. He's a political rival. Someone keeps putting his nose in his face and keeps wheeling his way out of politically being called out for what he did. And I think both of them handled it in a way in which they save face, but they both know that this is a big deal. This is that's why he couldn't really say no when he said, let's do another raid. So he sends his brother with him to try to, you know, represent himself there, even though he himself can't do that. That's another thing. He's an older king or earl as well. So at some point he was young and energetic and whatever and was that, but he's not that anymore. So it's just natural reaction of how I think anyone in power would feel when someone, even if they're not aiming for your throne, you know, is going to be someone people's going to be like, well, maybe why are we following you when we should follow him? He's the guy that's doing something for me. A great question. And this is what happens when you say he was doing it 3 days ago. I don't know nothing about no legacies. But when he when things be on the agenda and then the agenda changes, I know all about it. I'm also glad that I don't have these like, I'm really scared to go get my wisdom teeth removed because I don't want to deal with it. So I'm glad that people continue to tell me horror stories about the dentist so that I'm not prompted to go. Nothing's wrong with them. They said, no, you're fine. You just, might want to remove them. It's like, why? Why? Alright, and last and certainly not least, we have Queen Shy.
Hello, Christina. It's me, Shy. I am here to give my feedback for Vikings, Season 1, Episode 3. This was a very interesting and, I don't know how to explain this episode. I mean, I liked it. At the same time, there were some parts of it that was frustrating. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, when I'm thinking about it, I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. But it wasn't this. Of course, let's start out with the fact that Earl Haraldson, I'm like, the ego is a powerful thing, man. It really is. It can lead you astray. It can have you making decisions that's at your demise or at at your peril, or lead you to glory, I guess. In the case of Haraldson, I don't know obviously where we're going with this story, but I just feel like this is gonna be to his peril. This ego thing of his. But yes, they come back after and then I'm like, just the way it came about, it's like he was just so in this pomp and stance of there's nothing it's only the east, we're going to east, there's nothing else, making Ragnar out to be, look like an idiot, or like he's all knowing. Haraldson is all knowing, and then when you come back and you find out that you don't know as much as you think you do, and I get what Ragnar was saying. It's just amazing to me. It just makes me think about just our leaders today and how they could just say and do the most asinine things, and yet they get to stay in power even though they are proven to be wrong, and they've proven to not know what the hell they're talking about. But whatever. Anyways, so they come back, and after saying that they don't have that, there's no such thing as the West, and then they being proven wrong, and he takes all their stuff. And of course, as I said before, Ragnar, I just feel Ragnar is, he's a strategist. He's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers, especially with Rollo. I mean, he's all brawn and no brains. And it's like, and I feel like if it wasn't for Ragnar, he would have died a long time ago at this rate, just from the decisions that I've seen him make so far in these 3 episodes. His brother must have saved his tail many a times. And it's like, I don't even know why they listen to him, because they see that Ragnar is the smarter of the two and knows what he's talking about, and you would think that they would follow more his lead than anybody else's. But I guess, when you're a Viking, you just thirst for blood, and it doesn't matter. I mean, not everyone is a Ragnar, for all intents and purposes. And so, we have that. But, and I thought it was interesting that and back to the Ragnar playing chess, while everybody else is grabbing the first golden thing that they see, he sees the value in getting the priest and getting more information from the priest and using that. And it's like he's just so smart and just thinks ahead, and I love that about him. I love how outside the box he thinks, and a few steps ahead of everybody else, even the Earl. So I just think he would make a better leader or Earl or whatever than Haraldson. And I think that's a big thing with Haraldson. I feel he feels threatened by Ragnar because he's a natural born leader. He's a natural born strategist. He just has that it factor, and I feel he feels threatened by that. Is it me? I'm sorry, impotent. My thing stopped, so I don't know if it caught that. Because his wife was trying to get her freak on, and he, for a minute there, he was trying to be into it, but it's almost like he couldn't seal the deal. So I'm very curious about that, and I'm wondering if that plays a role in him being the way he is, in regards to feeling insecure, especially around virile men that are in his presence or around his wife. So I was so surprised when Ragnar and Legatha, I forget how to say her name, when they were asking the priest Eggleston to join them. I'm like, really? They roll like that? And maybe that would explain the brother. Like, would they have invited the brother in bed with them? Okay, but yeah, they were all about that life. But Eggleston, he stuck to his guns and his beliefs. So that was interesting. I thought that was funny. But it was a struggle. I could see that it was a struggle. Oh my gosh. I hope that is at some point in this journey that Haraldson dies. I knew they were going to kill that boy when they were digging up the stuff. They would have that kid, because I was wondering whatever happened to him when they all returned and all that stuff. But they killed that little boy. I'm like, damn, that's so messed up. I can't stand that dude, and that whatever the other, his right hand man, can't stand him either. But like I said, we see Ragnar getting recon information from the priest about England, getting more information, and taking that to Haraldson, getting him to give him permission to raid again. And then, of course, things go sideways again. This time, a little bit more of the unknown is involved, because they went to another area where there was more people with weapons and able to fight, unlike the priests in the monastery that they raided previously. And then we have Canute, Slime Bucket Canute. So that'll be interesting what he ends up reporting back. I'm surprised there are not more. I'm sure Ragnar is, and even Rollo seemed a little bit suspicious of Canute. So I hope they're not, totally buying into everything, and they're being I just wish they'd be a little bit more suspicious or act like they're suspicious. It just seemed like they just, even though they know that he will report back to the king, they just, I guess I don't got no choice. It is, the boat ain't that big. And we do get to see that Ragnar's wife gets to tag along, and they left Eggleston in charge of the kids. I was like, what? How long has he been there? Oh, such a different world, a different time. So like, they just trust this person they barely know that was a slave 5 minutes ago to watch the children while they're gone. So I'm sure, I'm guessing it'll work out for them. I don't know. Very interesting. She did threaten his life, so I'm sure he's gonna be on his P's and Q's. Bjorn was not about that life, was not happy. You gonna leave a slave above me? But yeah, a lot of interesting things. We continue on with the story in regards to them venturing out and exploring the world, and very interested in seeing how this all continues to unfold. On that note, until next time, much love, peace, and Black Girl Magic. Queen of the Couch, Shy.
That was Queen Shy with her thoughts on the episode. We always find ourselves on opposing sides. And this is based solely on information that I know in the episode. Because I'd argue about Earl Harrelson is that it's not about ego more than, you think that you're right. It's a good way to put this. It's like Ashford versus Drummer, right? Two people see a problem. They have two different ideas about how, and they both think that they're right in their answer. That's not so much ego as that Ragnar happened to believe a traveler, and found tools in which he could go to the north. He's not shared that knowledge with anyone else, not even the Earl. And even when he brought it up, he was shut down, and then he decided to do it in secret anyway. After he forbid him to no longer talk about this, encourage that idea. Now, you turning out to be right is all well and fine, but there's no certainty there before you roll off that island and go find some land that might be over there that no one else has come back and found and said they successfully. It's one of those moments, those flashes in time where ingenious happens and it changes the course of history. No one knows that was the moment that changed the course of history. People react rationally to the information they have when they're processing it. I'm not saying that Earl Harrelson is a good guy or a bad guy, because quite frankly, I take those monikers off when I'm viewing these characters, because I'm immersed in a society where morally things are already in a place in which I would be making my logical good guy, bad guy references on certain bias that exists now and not within that culture. It's like going to India and then I don't know, I'm just making up something right now. Something current that people do that you're not, like, you can go to any country, right? And there's something that, burqas, women are required to wear them. You can go there and say, oh my God, this is a crime against feminism and humanity. But if that's their culture, do you have a right to judge their society based on your own societal landmarks? So with that being caveated, I think that the Earl is a character like any other character. We've met him in opposition to our protagonist, so then he must then become the antagonist. And I know that in movies and television, I found myself also doing the exact same thing, and I've been rearranging my viewpoint on how I'm watching television sometimes, because I'm playing on those eternal biases that TV shows are making me. But like after The Expanse and more other shows that, even with Westworld, where I can't point to this person. I might more be on their side based on what I personally feel is important and can relate to, or they're just black. Should see my face right now when I said that. That makes me just open my mind to that new idea of that is our only jumping off point for, well, I guess not to say, you might see ego in him. I see that he played a game as well. You are the lead, whether you agree with the leadership, who's the leader, whatever. You made that great analogy, to people who can say things in leadership and they seem to stay in leadership. Well, that if the people voted them there, that's what the people are saying clearly, so there's not a precedent set there, right? Those people just didn't accidentally make their way to the positions of power that they got there. They got there for a reason. And if they're comfortably in, saying things that are just horrible, clearly either they don't think they can lose their position of power, or that they may be playing to their own constituents. Why did I make that analogy? I'm not sure. I think I made that analogy because of how the Earl must be feeling. You have one of your subordinates, coming up to you, challenging you directly. You don't even embed, you put your foot down, you say, look, I hear what you're saying, but that's not what we're doing. Whether you think it's wrong, right, whatever. This is the law. You don't break the law. Ragnar says, fuck it. I'm going to take a risk that hopefully the Earl won't kill me for breaking the law. And technically he did. Like, if he was being a real true bitch, he would just kill them all. That's not what he's doing. He's trying to see where this plays and leads to. Truly. I think they both are in this moment. Not just the Earl. I think Ragnar is as well. Which is why he wasn't upset when he lost all the treasure. And he only took Athelstan. Because he knew that there was going to be a sacrifice needed to be made for his direct disobedience. And if that is the easiest way we could have gotten out of there, it's almost as if he expected that to happen. Like, maybe not all the treasure, but he definitely expected that man to take a chunk. And that's the bribe to say, hey, look, I proved you wrong, but at the same time, I did this for you, for us, for our success. And thus, that is what leads to that conversation where he sends his man to sanction said mission. Now, Canut's there just to be the Earl, who cannot himself get on that boat and be there because he is up in age. But that's what he's supposed to be. So as far as, do you trust him or not? I don't think they're looking at him like that. They're looking at him as, we know before that you chose going to your brother instead of choosing to go with us. And now we need to know if we can trust you to at least be at our backs when we need you to be at our backs. But I'm sure they are. I mean, that it's just something that they're probably watching for, because he wants to know too. He wants to have someone he can report directly to. I don't think that's out of the blue thing to really request or need or desire to protect his position of power. I think there's no person in the world that's going to be, and we don't know, we've not met Earl Harrelson, but I can tell you, for Viking society, you don't get to that position by doing nothing or being crooked, or I mean, you might be a little crooked, but it's not as if he didn't earn that position. It's not like people are turning on him and saying he's a horrible person. It's not like, he is, I mean, yeah, as I stated earlier, he seems to be a very popular, rather fair ruler that we are meeting not in his prime anymore. And not so much of, people are stubborn. People are stubborn when it comes to change. Maybe I just understand that aspect of it a lot more, of, someone younger coming on, showing you up. Maybe because I've been in that position before, where I've been in a role and then someone younger comes in and they make all these changes and you just like, bitch. But you have to understand that innovation, that it should be allowed. And I think that in a way, despite what we think we're seeing, and he's trying to navigate that, but he also wants to retain his position of power. It's not just for him. He's got a wife, he's got a daughter, he's got people that he cares about, and he is impotent. He definitely is impotent, can't get it up. So that's also a blow. Now that to me is more of a blow to his ego. And I saw him in that moment act more like a rational man, because any other man would be like, well, it's you. It's something wrong with you. He just sighs and hugs his wife. So I don't know, maybe I just give him a little bit more credit as a human that's just going through a time in which Ragnar's star is rising, and thus that means his must fall. That doesn't mean anyone's gonna sit back and just go, okay, I'll just let you have it, I'll just support everything you want. Because anybody and everybody, like both you and Mimi are both stating, can see where this can go. So if you're already throwing your weight behind Ragnar in 3 episodes, talking about he should be the leader, and all he's really done in a leadership position is just be smarter than everyone else when it comes to exploring. We don't know how he handles groups of people. We don't know how he handles other things. Those are challenges that, he's still a young man and has yet to have no experience with or dealing with, despite how smart you are. Smart people don't make great politicians all the time. Or great leaders. I think that's all I have to say about that. But I like the conversation around it, because I think he is one of those polarizing characters where it's like, it's so easy to be like, in my mind, that, you're an asshole. Of course, I didn't want to see that kid being killed. But I actually looked it up. While Vikings never share their wives, that's not a thing. Maybe they're slaves, but not their wives. Vikings, when they bury their treasure, they believe that things that they placed in the ground or in water would be found by the gods. So I was incorrect. And they did, though. I was correct on they buried the boy so that he could protect the treasure. So it feels very it feels very cruel, but it's not meant to be cruel. And his second off is just altogether unpleasant. Doesn't he? I can't even. Now, he is very much portrayed as a one-note bad douchebag. He just is. Let's see. Oh, you were talking about Rollo. So I was mentioning it earlier that there is no leader. There's no leader in the Vikings when they go on their raids. You might have one that's, a little bit that people choose to follow, but technically they're all equals. So Rollo is not someone that is even followed either. But once again, we're meeting Rollo at the place that he's at. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about these characters. We do hear from Lagertha herself, like, I would never insult you because you're too great a warrior. So whatever you feel about him as a person, Vikings care about what? Fighting. Fighting and farming. Yes, he's a dastardly, disgusting, pig-headed, dull-headed, likes to rape slaves, but that's allowed, type of guy. But he clearly is not someone that Ragnar has to go around protecting. No, I wouldn't make that assumption. He is his own warrior in his own right. And we saw that just in episode 1 when they were fighting on that battlefield. He was right there with his brother. They had each other's back. They were handling each other just fine. Actually, it was Rollo who handled his before Ragnar handled his. So I don't want to take away that agency from him by saying that Ragnar has kept him out of trouble. But to your point, I do think that Ragnar definitely talks him out of his worst, I don't even know, desires, his worst ideas. And he seems to, despite the fact that he is all up in his brother's face, and he does have a tendency to just, I shouldn't have believed in you. So very quickly, he listens. And that's why I like the scene at the end so very well. When you see them both working in tangent together, is that they are a force together. And it was necessary. Even when you saw them in Eric's house and people were talking over Ragnar, and Rollo's like, listen to him. and people quieted down. So there is a respect there for Rollo, despite Ragnar being more savvy with his negotiation of situations and people. But great discussion, as always. If you want to send feedback on the next episode, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below this podcast. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.